We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the edge life.
What is going on, good people? You have made it to another Sunday. This is the Edge Live. You know what it is, man. We are super, super excited and, man, just pumped up that you have decided to hang out with us on yet another Sunday. This is season 2, episode number 12 of the Edge Life. And listen, we're gonna run it back again, Turbo, as the kids say. We're gonna do it again. Because last week we started off and we were doing this session and it got good to us. So guess what? We got more we got to give to them.
Yeah, we split it up and
we
gave them 4 tips.
That's right.
How to let people in your circle, your
That's right,
children, your team, whomever, how to let them grow rather than letting them go. Right?
That's right. That's
there's
right.
a reason that we're supposed to stay connected.
We gotta let people grow, you know.
Yeah, have to.
You gotta let. And now here's the crazy thing. I know. Last week when we went over the first 4 we went over last week, you know, we're talking about this, but there was a reason that we're doing that, because the truth of the matter is, whether it's your family, whether it's your children, whether it's a team that you're working with and or leading, there's something about growth, and the growth of the people that you're working with and the team that can change everything when people really grow, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would hope, you know, and I know this isn't always the case, but a good leader always wants whomever they're leading to grow and develop to their full potential. So, you know, as a parent, as a manager, et cetera, you know, hopefully you want your children and the people in your circle to grow to their full potential.
And you know, for those of you all watching us tonight, I want to just give this to you. It's truly important that we let people grow, because what happens if we don't let people grow? You run the risk of people just quitting on you. You run the risk of people just going and sitting down somewhere. You run the risk of always having to do and be the everything to everyone and for everybody if you don't allow people to grow into their tiresome. That does get tiresome.
That gets really weary. I mean, I know that as I've grown in my leadership, I've learned to, let things go so that
Yeah.
people could grow. You can let things go so
Mm-hmm.
that people can grow. That's the key right there. Everything doesn't have to be the way you think it ought to be.
That's right.
Right? To be successful, everybody looks at things a little bit different. But just because it's different doesn't mean, that it's wrong. So if you're the leader who's always feeling tired, then you may want to ask yourself, am I really allowing people to grow?
Right.
And I think all of us have probably been in situations, especially in the workforce,
Mm-hmm.
where we've really felt like a leader, a manager, a boss, whatever you want to call them,
Mm-hmm.
hasn't really allowed you to utilize that which is within you.
Yeah.
And, that stifling your growth literally makes you very unproductive.
It does.
And it makes you look for other opportunities, and it even happens in the home.
Yeah.
When kids don't feel like they are trusted or afforded opportunities to grow and experience things, then, what can already be kind of a hostile time anyways,
Right.
becomes even more
You're right.
conflictual.
You're right.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
That's right.
It's not always necessary.
That's right. So I'm just gonna say this. Listen, if you are a leader tonight and you're feeling tired, you're feeling frustrated, you're asking yourself, what in the world's going on? Why do I feel like I'm doing everything? This may be the session for you to tune into tonight. Listen, if you know a leader, a mother, a father who is feeling extra tired, it's not you, but maybe it's somebody close to you, right? This may be the episode that you want to share out with someone else so that they can get the information. Speaking of sharing out, listen, we would love for you to go ahead and just in the comments section, let us know who you are, where you're chiming in from, and we would love for you to go ahead and share this out for us. It means the world to us when we know that you all are sharing the content out. It lets us know that it's hitting you and it's valuable for you and to you. So go ahead, if you don't mind, just putting who you are inside of the comments in the chat feature. We definitely want to shout you out. If you're watching this via the replay, please go ahead and hit that hashtag replay squad. And again, let us know that you did watch it on the follow-up and on the replay.
On the replay.
That's right. That's right. On the
Absolutely.
replay.
It's definitely worth a watch. I mean, we want you to learn the easy way.
That's right. Not the hard way. Not the hard way. Woo, Jesus.
Not the hard way.
Yeah. Because we don't learn a lot the hard way, and the hard way doesn't feel good. I heard somebody say this. He said, "You're either gonna learn through revelation and things being revealed unto you, or you're gonna learn through tribulation." And the tribulation mean that's when your backside gets spanked, and that just does not feel good. So definitely pick things up via the revelation as opposed to the tribulation.
Yeah. So you wanna bring it back. So we had 7 tips for you to use to help people in your circle, whether they're children, coworkers, people that you're leading in ministry, et cetera, how to let them grow rather than letting them go. Because there's a reason that God has connected us. I mean, obviously, as a parent, he done put them just
right there,
right in there.
Yep.
But we went over the first 4 on last Sunday. So if you didn't hear the first part of this, definitely go back and check that out. Don't jump off now, but definitely go back and check that out. So number 1 was stop trying to raise a happy child. So if we're talking about on your team, stop trying to make everybody happy.
That's right.
Right. And you can go back and I won't give you too much of a recap, but well-adjusted people. Yeah. You learn to become well-adjusted when you go through some things, when you grow through some things. Number 2, embrace the changes that come along in your relationship, because relationships are always evolving.
Right.
So whether it's a child who's growing older and starting to make more decisions and pulling away a little bit, to someone on your team who's kind of coming into their own, and sometimes they start to feel themselves or smell themselves a little bit, just embrace the season your relationship is.
Right.
Number 3, give space for growth. Right. We talked about the aquarium size, how the size of the environment can hinder the growth.
That's right.
And you may be the very thing that is hindering the growth of your child or your team.
And
then the 4th thing that we talked about is let them make mistakes.
Yeah.
Let them make mistakes because we really learn, like you were saying,
We learn through those mistakes. That's right.
Or tribulation. So, revelation can even come from a falling forward.
Right. Absolutely.
But you have to make mistakes sometimes
Mm-hmm.
to know the right way to go. You at least know what way not to go.
True
what
indeed.
not to do when you make a mistake. And so that helps to really build up people who have good problem solving skills when you allow them to make mistakes. Obviously don't let anybody make a mistake in which it's going to be a fatal mistake.
Right.
I think we talked about like letting a child just cross the street when they're like 3 years old.
Right.
But let them make one where you can provide a safe place for them to land.
Yeah. This one, and we can just pick up, but this one was real big. I know for me, I was reading a book, and inside of the book, the gentleman, he was talking about this guy who he had hired, and the guy was working on a team. And long story short, the guy made a costly mistake. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood or the vicinity of $30,000. The mistake was. So literally when the guy made the mistake, he was new to the team, and the guy just knew that he was going to get in trouble. Well, he got the phone call that he was expecting. The boss calls him, and the boss says, hey, listen, tomorrow morning I need to see you in my office. Now, I could only imagine what that guy's night was like, where he knew he made this $30,000 mistake. He knew that he cost the team not only money, but he cost the team time and resources, right? And I can imagine what that night was like. I mean, he probably tossed and he turned all night long, just frustrated all night long. And literally, I can imagine him waking up, the next day, like probably not rested, gets his clothes on, gets himself together, sits probably in the parking lot for an extra 20 minutes. Like, do I want to go in? Do I want to go in? Because I know when I go in, I'm getting ready to come back out, right? So the guy goes into the boss's office. He's apprehensive, as you can imagine. And literally he gets in there, and the boss is looking at him, and the boss is like, why are you acting all timid? Why are you acting all strange? And the guy's like, well, we all know that I made this mistake. So I thought that I was coming in here so that you could terminate my employment. And the boss, right, the boss looks at him. The boss is like, why would I fire you when I just made a $30,000 investment in you? Wow. Right? I literally just invested $30,000 in you. I got to get that ROI. I got to get that return on my investment.
I got to get out what I just put in.
Right. And who better than you, the person who made the mistake? You know what not to do now.
Yeah, so make it right.
I can imagine that guy, like, after hearing that, he was kind of probably like taken aback for a second. Whoa. But then I could imagine him also like being picked up saying, okay, well, you believe in me enough to not let me go, so I'm ready. I'm going to go and do everything that I can. So it just goes back to what you said, letting people make mistakes, because we really grow from those mistakes, and that's a huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of bring up like a point underneath that. How many times have you discovered a mistake that someone on your team has made or your child has made, and they've not told you? That can be really a key indicator that you haven't provided a safe place to land.
That's good. Yeah.
And maybe you're not providing enough space for growth, or you haven't. Because you haven't provided the space for growth. No failing has happened.
Right.
No mistakes have happened because there's too much sheltering going on. And so when that moment comes, now they got to kind of sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can remember a number of things that our children, have done. And tried to make
try to sweep under the rug.
Maybe even sweep it under the rug, or or just like out and out. I remember we still actually in our hallway, we have some like glittery pink spots on our baseboards. Nobody did that.
Right.
Don't really know how that got there.
To this day, nobody done that.
No, but they do. They finally do fess up on the things that we do. You ever had that conversation with your parent? And you tell them about something you did
a long time ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's something you did that you didn't tell?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, y'all know I believe my parents believed in switches. So there was a whole lot back in the day that I did that I probably got in trouble for. I think one thing that I probably like, I think at one time I put a hole in the wall. And yeah,
Ooh.
and like I was young, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't tell anybody that I put the hole in the wall, and my parents were like, "Who put this hole in the wall?" And I think I blame my brother. I think my brother kind of took that one, but I did finally come back, and I was like, "Hey, you remember that hole in the wall? Hey, that was me." Even though my mom, she still believes that she would whoop me
She
nowadays.
probably would still whoop you for
She
that.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I didn't get whooped for that. I didn't get whooped for that, or I didn't get a spanking for that. I don't
Yes.
like saying whoop because
Yeah.
might get
People
in trouble
might.
nowadays. Right,
Yeah.
right,
I
right.
think the statute of limitations has run out on any
Something,
of your
something,
whooping. And I
something.
think it was okay for whoopings back then. But one of the things that I love about our children, and it allows me to know that we've given them the space to grow, is
Mm-hmm.
that I love it, and at the same time I kind of cringe. They are just fully blatantly just
They're,
out there,
they're
like
they're pretty
all the
open. Yeah,
way
they're
with
pretty open.
all their stuff, just open, honest. And sometimes I'm just like kind of cringe, giggle on the inside, but take a big old deep woosah breath and like, all
Right,
right, here we go, here we
right.
go. But again, that allows me to know that we are letting them grow. There's an exploration that's
Yeah.
happening, and because of the exploration, there's a maturation.
Well, and to that point, I think even as a leader, right? Even if you're in the workplace, one of the ways that you know that you've created that safe space is you have team members, and I like calling them team members. I
Yeah,
don't call people
team
who work with you your employees or
subordinates.
subordinates. No, they're team members. They just happen to have a different job, right? So you know that your team members they feel safe when they can come and have conversations with you, right?
Hmm.
Just like our children, being free to come and share with us just about anything. It's always good to know that you've created a safe environment for your team to really be able to come and to share with you, all those things
Yeah.
that are going on, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And when they can do that, again, that there is an environment in which people feel empowered.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is when you can empower people to be the best them, be the best version of themselves, you create a culture in which things can really get done.
Yeah, and as a result of that culture, when people grow, your organization grows,
Yeah.
your family grows, and I mean, like, not necessarily in number,
Right. Right.
but the bottom line,
But
and
they grow.
organizations grow, and
Yeah.
then your family becomes closer knit, and your children are released into their purpose and their destiny.
Yeah. It's interesting because, I've been in organizations where people were not empowered, right?
Yeah.
And in those organizations or in those places, literally what happened was, I mean, everything was so hush hush. And the other thing, which I think is almost worse, nobody did anything extra. Nobody did
Yes.
anything to go above and beyond. They
Mhm.
only did like
Just what had
their
to be
their
done.
thing, right?
Mhm.
And honestly, if they weren't even empowered in that, they wouldn't even do that.
Mhm.
And I think that's sad when you have extremely talented people who, because of the environment, they're like, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna sit here.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna collect a paycheck. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm just gonna twiddle my thumbs. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do anything because I don't feel empowered to make a mistake. I don't feel empowered to do anything.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm gonna sit here. And environments like that I've seen like that, like they're not thriving environments, and in fact they're stagnant and they wind up being in the same place years down the road.
Yeah, just maintaining the status quo. I've
Mm-hmm.
I've been
Mm-hmm.
in environments like that, not working in law enforcement. Even almost like in a culture of fear,
Yeah.
because you're looked at from both sides of the coin,
Right.
and it makes it very difficult for you to act, to strive, to
Mm-hmm.
achieve. Because there's
Mm-hmm.
just always this fear of failing. There's just it's really just a culture of fear.
Yeah.
That would be a whole nother podcast that I could go into, but yeah, you can't create a culture of fear, and I think that leads us kind of into number 5.
Mm-hmm.
which just really talking about examining our own personal motives in our leadership.
That's good.
You know, are the decisions that you're making for your children about what they can and can't do, are they motivated by fear or insecurities that you have?
Right.
Or is there really some substance behind, the decisions that you're making? I can remember my mom doesn't swim.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, he's like a fish.
Right.
And so, my parents always, and always had us really around water as much as I can think. But my mom was still afraid of it, but she didn't let her fear keep us from swimming.
Right.
And, it's funny because I hear a lot of people and have encountered a lot of people, who have made their children literally afraid of water.
Right.
And we do that not just about things like water, but about certain decision making or certain things in life. And we stir up this fear on the inside of a person, and for no reason.
Right.
Well, they have no grounding for it.
Right.
It's based off of something that either your leader, if it's in a team, or your parent has experienced, but you don't have any place to connect with that. It doesn't really make sense to you. It's just like something you're taught.
Yeah.
So we have to be really careful as parents and leaders to really examine what our intentions are.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're talking about, just being able to manage and look at your intentions. Yesterday, I did one of our energy shots on, why do you do what you do, right?
Why?
And that's the $1 million question. Like why is it that you're doing what you're doing? And I asked the question. I said, are you doing it for likes? Are you doing it for follows? Or are you doing it to make an impact, right? And whether it's within the family structure, whether it's in the work structure, if you will, we got to do things in which we can make impact with people, right?
Yes.
So when I think about even rearing and raising our children, right, I'm not just doing it just to be doing it. I want to make an impact on the generations, right? My children's children. I want to do the things that we do now, even, from the podcast or from what we do with Edge and Associates and coaching people. I want to build a legacy for our family, but I also want to build a legacy for those families that we come in contact with. That's why we push our teams. That's why we push those people that we work with as hard as we do, so that we can see results, because when we can look at them and see so much in them, I mean, it would almost be like I'm doing somebody a disservice if I can't pull out of them that thing that's on the inside of them. I'm doing their children a disservice. I'm doing their grandchildren and their grandchildren's grandchildren a disservice if I can't go 100 miles an hour and pull out of them that thing that I see inside of them.
Yeah, and you mentioned the why. And I think it's really important because it goes back to what I was saying before, like in examining your intentions as a leader in whatever arena you're leading. Your intentions enable you to connect people to the why.
Yes.
So if we're doing something or not doing something, people really do. Kids always say, "Why?"
Why? Exactly.
And you
why are we doing
parents
this?
say, "Because I said so."
Right.
But really, if you are able to explain the why in any area of leading, then people will have that decision, that lesson, that revelation will now be grounded.
Right.
It will make sense. And so the learning will be sustained.
That's right.
And if the learning is sustained, then purpose is able to be birthed forth. So when,
that's good.
You go to so many organizations and you say, well, why do you do that? That's the way we've always done it.
Yep.
I don't know. You ask families, well, why do you do that?
That's the way we've always done it.
I don't know.
Right.
So the why behind things really is important.
Yeah.
And there may be some whys, that are just traditions and things of that nature that you don't know exactly where they came from. But wouldn't it be beautiful if you tried to find out, asking some of the matriarchs and patriarchs in your family, hey, why do we celebrate Christmas this way? Those seem like small things,
but they're really big.
Whys are there are roots.
Yeah, that's
They're
good.
What grounds us, what
that's
anchors
good.
us. And I think so many times we just operate in life and it keeps us in the status quo when we don't have roots, when we're not fully grounded and we don't understand the why.
Especially when you're working with teams, like people just do things just to be doing it. It's like the flyby. I got a friend of mine who works in a factory, and they do the same thing over and over and over again. They're not even thinking about it. It's just widget, 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 widget. And they don't even think.
Time to bake
right?
the donuts.
Right, exactly. I heard somebody said this, and it stuck with me a long time ago. They said, people don't have to like what you do as long as they can understand why you do what you do, right? And it's true in the family. It's also true in the workplace, right? There are many a times, as we are dealing with our children, they may not like the decision that we make, but we're able to articulate the why of the decision. The other day, this is one that's still fresh in my mind. We share with y'all everything. So we're still down one automobile, as Trey's wreck is we're finally figuring that out. Oh yeah, by the way, they did total his car out, and the person who hit him was not insured, so that's a whole different thing. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, so Carrie and I are sharing a car. We've given Trey my car. But this is the thing. Even in that, we had last Sunday. Was it last Sunday? I think it was that we drove Jess's car. Was that last Sunday or Sunday before? Last Sunday. So last Sunday we're driving Jess's car to church, and she gets up, and I told her the night before, but she forgot. She's a 16-year-old girl, right? So she messages me, and she's like, "Hey, where are my keys?" And I was like, "Oh, don't you remember, we were taking your car to drive to church because blah, 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 blah." And I know she was mad because she had plans. But when I explained to her why we drove her car, it made sense. She didn't have to like it, right? She didn't like it, but literally her response was, "Okay." You know what I mean? Like again, she probably didn't like it. Like really, probably, but she could understand the rationale and the why behind it. And because she understood the why, she didn't necessarily have to like it. It was just like, okay, this is what it is.
And, being able to examine your intentions also really helps you not to lead from an emotional place. Right?
That's a big thing right there.
That's so huge.
Right.
I think all of us have been under the leadership of someone who was overly emotional.
Yeah.
And it can be extremely chaotic, and it can prohibit growth because it creates this instability, because, emotions are like roller coasters.
Right.
They're very temporary. But when you get people who are not connected with their intentions.
Right.
As much as they are with their feelings, then your organization or your family begins to make permanent decisions based off of temporary situations like feelings.
Wow. Yeah, you got to talk about that one right there. Yeah.
This one is important too, from the sense that if you don't know what's driving you.
That's good. Yeah.
You may be driven by your emotions, and that is the last thing.
That's the worst place you want to be driven by, right?
Right. So when you blow up and go off on your kids, and, you just shut down, and they go to their room, they slam the door, and you fuss and carry on, that's really not allowing them to grow. And you're not growing either as a parent, because I'm going to tell you, I have done a lot of growth as a parent with these 5, and now heading into the next generation as a grandparent, and it is still parenting. You just have different privileges.
Different kind of parenting.
Yeah,
but yeah.
You have different privileges, but they don't come with an instruction manual.
Right.
And if you don't have your emotions in check, you won't be intentional at all.
Right.
At all. Because I promise you, teenagers, they like to push all the buttons.
Every last one of them.
At the same time. Kind of like, the 2-year-old likes to do when she gets around the computer.
Right. She just hits them. Yeah.
And that's what teenagers do with our emotional buttons.
Right.
They just start firing away at them because they're really seeking and searching, trying to push the envelope.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to grow. And so thank goodness for that, but have yourself in check. Know what your intentions are. know what is motivating you and pushing you in that situation. Is it emotion, or is there really some substance?
That's good.
Something substantial.
That's good. And I'll just say this, you know, whether it's in the workplace or whether it is in the home, get those things in check before, you know, if at all possible, before you have that interaction, right? So ask yourself the question, you know, where is this coming from? What is going on here? Because if not, and you lead with the emotion, that could be disastrous. That's where we wind up saying things that we regret.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's not good.
So especially when there's difficult things to have to deal with, in whatever arena you lead, make sure that you understand the motives and the emotions that are there, and then be very intentional to just play it out. Sometimes I'll rehearse it.
Yeah.
What I need to say.
Yeah.
And the more rehearsed you are, the more you kind of jot out what you want to say, even though you may not be sitting there with your child with notes. The better off you're going to be, the more effective you're going to be, because we've all been around someone who was way too emotional and you got nothing.
Right.
You got nothing from them. Thank you, Kara. I just have to mention that Kara did say my eyebrows are popping again, y'all. So thank you. That's a little artistic guidance from my personal hands, because I don't. Yeah, whatever. So,
what about my eyebrows? Mine are not popping.
You start so popping, and then
mine
you're
popping?
getting like a little bit of gray in here, and it's just your wisdom. It's just
I got gray everywhere. Y'all, I'm letting the gray go. I'm gonna let it roll. I'm gonna let it roll.
He's just gonna let it grow.
Maybe until next week. But anyways, go ahead. What's the next one?
Number 6. Oh, and this
is the big
so
one. This is the big one. Yeah.
You have to release people from your
expectations. Yeah.
So I can remember, gosh, this has been, I think, maybe about 3 years ago. I was at church, and Trey was just dealing with a lot of different things. Really, I think it was 3-4 years ago. Just going through a lot of transitions and whatnot. Had come home from Carson Newman and was working. He just really wasn't happy with anything, and I just had so many, you have so many hopes and dreams for your children.
Absolutely.
And when the hopes and dreams and the things you conceive in your mind don't match up with what reality is, it can be really hard for you to come to grips with that, you to come to terms with it. And so I was at church, and I was praying for him, and the Lord just was like, you need to release him from your expectations. And I was like, what? Like, I don't nag him. I don't try to lead him in any direction or anything like that. But God showed me and corrected me that how even my prayers, even though I wasn't being like, oh, you should do this. Oh, you need to do that. Oh, you better blah, blah, blah. Because I just don't parent that way. I still was really leading
a certain way
with my expectations in prayer.
Yeah.
And trying to orchestrate it. And he had to learn how to conduct his own orchestra.
Yeah.
He's going to have his own orchestra to lead. And so I had to stop trying to conduct it. And God reminded me, y'all, this is going to hit you. Whether it's your child or your team, your expectations are way smaller than God's.
Wow. Yeah.
Would you rather leave your child, especially, to your expectations or to that of God's?
That's right. That's right.
And I was like, oh, let me back up. And so literally, I went to him and I just said, son, I release you I place you in God's hand, and I release you from my expectations. And all he said was, Mom, you don't have to say that. And I was like, no, son, I need to say that.
Yeah.
And I mean it. And that's really hard.
Yeah. It's super hard.
It was hard when I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, as parents, whether we recognize it or not, we have these expectations, from the time that they're little. It's like, you have such dreams of grandeur. They're going to be this and they're going to do that. And, a lot of times it's all the stuff that we wanted to do or we didn't do, right? We're like, they're never going to do this or experience that. And so, when we see our children or our colleagues, going through things that in your mind, you're like, they shouldn't have to do it. It's hard. It's hard, but I'll never forget that day that, you shared that with me. And it was a powerful moment, number one. it also made me really reevaluate and ask myself the question, do I have secret expectations or not secret, silent expectations for Trey? Many of you know I play football and I love football, right? But I even think, when Trey was coming up, I told myself I never wanted to be the father who pushed his son to do something because I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I didn't, honestly, I never really said anything about football to Trey. Right.
No.
I tried very hard not to push. Now, when Trey came to me and said, Dad, I want to play football. Now that was a different story because I was like, all right, well, if you want to do it,
play,
we gonna go all the way. We edges, and this how we do it, right? But I tried very hard still not to lead him in a certain way or push him or allow him to I guess what I'm really trying to say is for him, I said, you don't have to do this for me.
Or the way I did
or the way that I did it, right? And so when I'll never forget when you came to me and you were talking about, releasing him from your expectations, in my mind initially I was like, well, I never put that expectation out there.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You don't have to put the expectation out there. Many times people, particularly your children, they can feel and sense things. They can see, like Trey. I never went out to Trey and said, Trey, I need you. But he saw the way that I was proud about him, and the way that I smiled when, he did X, Y, or Z. You know what I'm saying? Like so even though I never put the expectation out there, I do think I had a silent expectation. So I followed suit, right? I don't even know if you know that, but I had to follow suit with you, and I had to tell him, son, I release you from my expectations. And, he kind of looked at me like I was crazy also, but I know that he received it. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes, especially as a child, to know that your parent is going to rock with you regardless of whether you do what you think they want you to do or not, that they're still going to rock with you. I think that's a big deal. And I know for all of our children, I try very hard now to let them live their life.
Yeah.
Not my, I'm living my life. They don't have to live my life. Now, I do want to set up a legacy for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want to do everything that I can to make it easier for them, but they don't have to be Phillip. They can be Trey, they can be Kai, they can be Saray, Justin, Zoe. They can be them and be the best them possible.
And I think what's most important above expectations is really values.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what has to be understood. That's what has to be translated. That's what has to be shared are the values, whether it's an organization or your family.
Right.
And that's so very important because what we value keeps us on the journey.
Right. Right.
Wherever we're going, whatever the expectation is, whatever the goal is, whatever their dream is that they have in mind. And I think Trey did feel unsaid expectations.
Yeah.
And he had lacrosse offers from all across the country, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And instead he went
and played football.
At someplace that he wasn't happy. And so releasing from those expectations, I think it was about 2 years later that he was like, I'm going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And, on the inside, I was like blowing up and so excited. But, on the outside, I tried to, play it cool or whatever. More recently, and we haven't really shared this, but, this is just a part of our journey. Our daughter came to us and shared with us that she was expecting. She's 16. And, I told her, it's really hard to tell them when you're mad at them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you love them so much.
Yeah.
Or you're disappointed.
Right.
And it's okay to be able to have those like open conversations about the way you feel, whether it's with your team or your family, and to just say, that I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm mad that you made a bad decision. I'm hurt that, you kind of you went left on these family values,
right.
or this is not what I wanted for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now things are going to be harder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm still here.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm creating a safe place for you to fall.
That's right.
I'm giving you grace, but that doesn't give you permission to go and do it again.
Right.
That doesn't give you permission to just, toss good values and morals and decisions out the window.
Right. Right.
But it does say, okay, I'm not going to let you go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to kick you to the curb.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll. We got to dig deeper.
That's right.
But what we're going to do?
And I think that's extremely important for your children, your family, your team to understand that you're always there for them. The one thing I know with our children, listen, my dad taught me no matter what's going on, you're always going to be mine. Like there's nothing that you can do to not be my child. And now that doesn't mean that I'm happy. That doesn't mean that I'm pleased, but guess what? You're mine. And because you're mine, we're going to work through this thing together and we're going to walk together. And I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to pick you back up. I'm going to dust you back off. I'm going to put you back on your horse. You're going to ride again. Right. It doesn't change anything. Right? The situation, what happened, does not change anything because, the thing that my dad taught me and we try very hard to instill it in our children is you are not what you did.
That's right.
Right. So you just because you made a mistake or you messed up, you are not a mess up or you are not a mistake. No. That is a temporary place. That's a moment in time. But that does not define you. So what we do, we get back up and we dust them off and we put them back on the horse and we ride again. But whether, again, even with, our family, with people that I work with, just from a team perspective, I say the same thing. Listen, I am here and I love what you said. I'm here. So if you fall, you have a safe place to land and it's not gonna kill you.
Yeah, I mean,
it may hurt.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna let you bump your head.
That's
I'm
right.
just not gonna let you die.
That's right.
I think all of us have seen our children when they were smaller. Mm-hmm. Like they getting ready, you sitting over there watching them from
they
afar.
Getting ready to fall and bust their head.
You're about to do something really dumb.
Yep.
But you know what? I'm gonna verbally let you know this is what's gonna happen if you keep doing that. But I'm gonna let you do it.
Mm-hmm.
My mom used to always get upset because the girls would climb in the little miniature elm tree out front. And she's like, they're going to get hurt. I'm like, there's some things that are just self-correcting mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to let them. I can't sit here and operate in fear 24/7.
Right.
Because stuff is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to let them grow. I want them to experience the fullness of every moment.
Yeah.
And if I don't release them from my expectations, if I don't understand my intention and I parent from an emotional place, then I don't allow people to have the full experience.
That's good.
That God intended for them to have, and they won't live in abundance.
That's good.
So that brings us to number 7.
Mm-hmm.
And 7 is so important. Don't forget about you, Dad.
Yeah.
Don't forget about you because, when you're leading, your team and your family really are a reflection of you and how well you are.
Absolutely.
So if you're not well,
yeah,
there's a good chance that everything around you is not well.
That's right.
As parents, we are the thermostat. As leaders, we are the thermostat wherever we lead. And so you are setting the temperature.
That's right. That's right.
And they're just thermometers. They're just picking up on what you're putting down.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been in some places in the workplace that have been too hot, or very cold and distant. So just make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're reading and feeding yourself with the Word of God. You're working out, you're eating well, you're getting proper sleep, which, in the early years is hard. And we're having the same thing with the grandparental.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Yeah. I've got coffee. I probably shouldn't at this time of night. But,
right. Well, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with one of my teammates this past week, and we were talking about this, and I said, listen, we have to create a culture in which we take care of ourselves. And I think that goes counter to what the world will try to tell you. But here's the reality.
Yeah, like that's selfish.
Right. Yes. And the world will tell you, oh, you're being selfish if you take care of yourself.
I used to think that.
Yeah. I mean, and there are a lot of people out in the world right now who think if you take care of yourself, that's being selfish, but it's not, because the reality is this, you know, and the way I explained it, I said, you know, you are a precious automobile. And being a precious automobile, literally, you have room for passengers, right? You are a precious automobile. I'm speaking to you right now. You are a precious automobile, and you have room for passengers. But if you don't do the maintenance on your car, if you don't get the oil changes, if you don't put the gas in it, if you don't do the proper things that you need to do to take care of your car, I don't care what kind of car it is, it will not be able to do what it was created to do, which is move from point A to point B, and in this case, carry people from point A to point B. So we have to be in the place and in the position where we're doing the maintenance. The other day, her daughter, she's driving, you know, we bought our car, right? So she's driving the car, and she messages me, and she's like, Dad, my car is running horrible. I don't know what's going on. It's making all kind of noise. Da, da, da. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, when the last time you checked your oil, right? Never. When is the last time you and the reality is never, right? So I messaged her. I said, babe, I said, do you have any lights on in the car? And she's like, well, you know, I got this one light on in the car.
Trying to describe it.
Right, trying to describe it. I'm like, okay, so your oil is low. Okay. Get home. All right. So she wound up, you know, getting home. The next day, Dad goes out. I wound up getting oil, put oil in her car, get the oil up to the level that it's supposed to be. And guess what? The car is running the way that it's supposed to run.
The question is, did you show her how to do it, or you just did it for her?
No, I had to show her how to do it. I had to not only put it in there.
Don't just fish for him. Teach him how to fish, y'all.
And then I had to show her how to pull that little dipstick out.
There you go.
Check the oil, wipe it off. You know what I'm saying? I had to show her how to do it. But here's the reality. Because I was able to show her that not only does she know now, but the car is running optimally. Yeah, it's running the way that it was supposed to run, right? Because it's taken care of. And for us, we got to make sure that we take care of ourselves. And listen, y'all, that's not being selfish.
I promise you, like, self-care is it's a legacy. It's a legacy. You're either giving good or you're not. Look at the way you take care of yourself. And look at the way you saw your parents care for themselves.
Right.
You know, did your parents go to the gym? Did your parents eat well?
Right.
Did your parents show you that they read? Do all these things in front of your children. Incorporate them into it.
Right.
You know, even like going back to school, achieving certain dreams. Like, show your children, even in the struggles, that you're doing it. That you're doing it, and you're doing it for yourself. But in the meantime, you got eyes are on you.
Right.
Even in your workplace.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, take that 12 o'clock walk.
Yeah.
Get somebody to go with you. If nobody goes with you, you go on your own. You know, take care of yourself and get that. That is a gift that will continue to give for generation after generation after generation. The legacy of self-care. And no one else can do it for you. And you have to do it yourself.
And I love what you said, because people are watching you, right? Literally, like when we think about the workplace, people watch the leader. And if the leader is one of those leaders who's just like, they're going 100 miles an hour and they don't breathe, well, there's a tense environment in which everybody is going 100 miles an hour when they can't breathe. And that is unhealthy, right?
And I promise you, if you take out some time during even the work day, listen to me, to encourage meditation or walking or whatever, I promise you, your team is going to be so much more productive. I am such an advocate. You know, most people get those afternoon, like just the down slide, you know, after lunch, like spend 10 minutes. I promise you, if you give your folks 10 minutes, they're going to give you a solid hour. So look at the return on your investment.
That's right.
They're going to give you at least a solid hour. They're going to appreciate it. You're going to connect. But it's a gift too. You have to give your children They must see you making an investment
Absolutely.
in yourself
That's
so
good.
that they will invest in themselves. And listen, moms, I used to think I was selfish, that I was supposed to just sacrifice everything to my children, to my husband, and that is nothing but false humility.
Talk about
God
it.
does not expect you to be a martyr to your family. He put some good on the inside of you, and the only way that good can come forth is by you being intentional.
That's good.
About making it come forth and caring for you.
That's right.
No, you know, if your love tank is empty, then everybody else in the house is empty too.
That's it. So listen, I want to challenge you all today, wherever you are, wherever you're viewing this or listening to this at. I want to challenge you to take some time for yourself and start creating a new daily habit of taking some time for yourself. I'm not saying hours. You know, see if you can find a 30-minute slot for you. You know, to feed you, whether you want to read a book, whether you want to work out, whether you just want to go outside for a walk, whether you just want to sit in silence and do nothing. Figure out what it is, but fill up your tank, because when you can fill up your tank, then you have more to give.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to run down the 7 really quick and encourage you. If you caught part 2, but you didn't catch part 1, you can always go to the Edge and Associates Facebook page and also catch us on YouTube as well, and anywhere podcasts are heard. So the 7 tips for helping people to grow instead of letting them go. Number 1, stop trying to raise a happy kid.
Come on.
Number 2, embrace the relationship changes. Number 3, give them space. Number 4, let people make mistakes, y'all. Number 5, examine your intentions. Number 6, release people from your expectations. And number 7, don't forget about you.
Don't forget about you.
Don't forget about you.
Don't forget about you.
So important.
That's huge. We got to give everybody a round of applause. We got to give everybody a round of applause. If you put these in place,
there's no telling what you can do.
That's right. That's right. Honestly,
watch people grow.
And like I said, I mean, put them in place. And we challenge you. We challenge you to go out and to do this, because it will literally not only change your life, but it will change the lives of those people around you. It'll change the lives of the people that you love. It'll change the lives of the people that you're working with. So make sure you go and you implement these things.
And let us know. But until next time, that's it. That's all we got for y'all.
That's all we got for y'all, man. That's all we got.
I'm sorry, but
listen,
you gotta go home.
We gotta go. We gotta set some balance here. We gotta set some parameters. You know, we would say all night long, but
our 21st anniversary is this week, so it's our anniversary.
Y'all, hey, listen, y'all, 21 years we are celebrating on April the 28th. So, yes, it's a big week for the Edge household.
Start celebrating now.
21 years. Well, okay then. Okay.
It's the Bill Cosby.
Oh, okay. I love it. Well, look, y'all. Until next week, man, we will be back here. Next week we will have a special guest. Special guest on the Edge Live, so it's going down.
Story. So can't wait to talk to her.
That's right.
We haven't had any women yet.
Well, it's going down. We will next week. Going down. Y'all be blessed. We'll talk to y'all soon. Until next week, y'all. Peace.
You know we had to cap it off with Jesus. Edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life.